right? Get over here. Watch the rest of this. Come on. Get over. Lena, come on. Get what? What? Get over here.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
Yuri, get over here. Okay, so so that is that back in. Now remember, this is in shade. What about this surface here?
Shade.
Yeah, I have a lot of students forget that. That's in shade, isn't it?
Yes.
And then this is in what?
Shadow.
Shadow. This is in what?
Shade.
No, that's shadow.
That's shadow. And up on the top is what?
Shadow. and
Shadow as well.
Light.
Okay. Well, if this surface, in other words, if this wasn't here, this whole surface would see light. So that's a shadow. This surface, by its orientation, is not seeing direct sunlight, so it's in shade. That makes sense? So that's how you tell the difference. Okay, this thing right here, this right here is the same thing as that right there. Exact same thing. That end right there and that end right there, those exactly the same, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Okay, so let me show you that, and that'll show you what's going on with this end over here. Okay, so again, we need to find, just like we did here, we dropped that down to where? The ground, correct? Right, and then we took that straight out. So we need to find this corresponding point right here. Oh, by the way, this edge here, right there, is that going to create a shadow?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Is this seeing sunlight?
Yes.
From the other side, is that seeing sunlight?
Yes.
Yeah, if it is, then this edge is what? Not going to cast a shadow. You with me? But there's a corresponding edge underneath here, just like this.
That one will.
And because the underside is not seeing sunlight, but that is, this corresponding edge over here is going to create a shadow, isn't it? Okay. So first of all, let's find that sucker because it's hiding from us. And so, just like this, take this straight up, right? And then we take that line back from here, and that will find our corresponding point underneath. So this back to the vanishing point over here. So this point right here is the corresponding point to that one right there, but it's underneath behind. You with me? Okay. Lorenzo, got it? Got thumbs up. Good. Okay. So so we know that again this bottom edge and this edge right here are going to cast the shadows. So I need to find where that point is right here. That point right there. Okay. And the way we do it, again, drop that down to the ground. And so we come down here. Oh man, how do I know where the heck that thing is? What do you do now? How do you find that? How do you find where that is on the ground?
Go from your other one.
Yes, no. Go from where?
From the other line that you did and go to the vanishing point.
Oh, okay. So you're saying go from here
Yes.
to the vanishing point. Right there? The intersection? Yeah. Okay. Is there another way of doing it?
Yes.
So with the other one.
To, yeah, right mention.
Either way, I'll get you there. Okay. So there's where it is on the ground. And so, again, take that straight across. Boom. You have to make that sound too. Boom. Straight across. Okay. And then take the angle of light on down from that corner. It's not from the top, it's from the bottom, because it's the bottom edge that's creating the shadow. So make sure you go from that bottom corner, not the top. Okay? So this goes out like this. Now, here's the problem. This is going this way, and this is coming this way, and they don't meet on the ground, they meet inside somewhere. So we know that's not the accurate, that's not the point. So if we call this point, what, E, that's not E prime, is it? No. So what happens is, again, if we have, remember we had that, outside we had that vertical stick, when we put it up against that wall, we had the shadow cast on the ground, and then when it hit the wall, it did what? Now it goes straight up, right? And so right here where it hits the ground, where it hits the wall, I do what? Go straight up. Straight up here. Straight up. And so where this line comes down and this line comes up, that now if that's E, this would be what? E prime. Okay. Is this point right here going to cast a shadow? No. Okay. So just like some of these, where I'm at here, like this guy right here, we had this point down here. This point doesn't cast a shadow, right? If this is A and this is B, this is A prime. Do we have a B prime? No, we don't. So where do we go from A prime?
Just straight to B.
Straight to B, right? And so same thing here. If that point's not casting a shadow, but this edge is, we found that point there. Where do we go from here?
Straight to B.
Back up to that point there, because that's where that shadow originates, right? So this goes from here to there. So that's that back side. That's how you do that, okay? Right here, now, from that point, I have a vertical surface, but it's in the same orientation. And so just like this one, I go to where? A vanishing point. So, from here, from the vanishing point, like this, and that gives me my shadow underneath there and there. And that's the shadow for this overhang on that surface there. So what happens for this edge right here, that point starts there. So the shadow for this bottom edge starts here, goes across, it's going to do something there, right? So we haven't found that yet. Comes across, going to do something there, and then it's going to come back down to here, and then it does what? Jumps down to the ground right there. So the shadow for that edge starts there, and it ends right there. Part of it's on the walls, part of it's on the ground. With me? Okay, so let's figure this one out right here. Well, we're going to do it the same exact way. We're going to do it the same exact way. And so what we need to do is we need to find right here, we dropped this down to the ground, and we already had this point here, didn't we? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find a point in order to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do just like we did here, come from the vanishing point through here. So we're going to kind of do the reverse thing. Through there. And right there, we're going to now go straight up. Right here, straight up. And now this point here is going to be corresponding to this right here. So what we did is we kind of did reverse, and we found this, the corresponding point, or the analogous point, if you will, right up here for this guy. So again, we do this the same way. Straight out, hit the wall, straight up, angle of light. So straight across here, where hits the wall, straight up, angle of light from that point that we found. And so right there would be this corresponding point on this wall. Think about it. If I have the light coming on down and I have an overhang, right? So I have the light coming on down and I have a wall right here. I have the overhang. I'm going to get a shadow cast on there, right? What happens if relative to that wall, if I increase my overhang?
Shadow gets longer.
Shadow's going to get longer, right? So in other words, or if I move that wall back, right? If I move the wall back, my shadow's going to be deeper.
Yep.
What happens if I move it forward?
Shorter.
It's going to be shorter. So if you take a look at this, is this wall in front of this one? It is. So the shadow on it's going to be what? Shorter. And sure enough, that I took that line back to where? Vanishing point, didn't I? So where am I going to go with this one here? Vanishing point. So there's the shadow right there for, again, that line. So that line comes here, jumps up to there, and then jumps back down to there, and then down to the ground. Okay, so that's what's happening on those walls. But I'm not done yet, am I? Because I still have this thing happening here. Well, again, this is a piece of cake because there it is on the ground, and it does what? Just go straight up. Okay. This surface here is in what?
Shade.
some shade, right? So have those lines spaced decently apart, right? And then all of this here is in what? Shadow. So what are we gonna do with those lines?
Thicker.
Not thicker, but closer. Oops. See that? So you do that all the way, and you do the same thing underneath here. So I want a difference between shade and shadow. You got that? Difference between shade and shadow. And then this is what? This is just
Colored in.
colored in, right? So this is just solid right in here. Because that's on the ground, right?
So there's no any shadow on this surface.
On which one? This one here?
Yeah, I mean from this point.
No.
No.
How can you have a shadow if you have no light hitting it?
Oh, okay.
That's all in what? Shade. So that's the difference. If you don't have any light hitting the surface, this surface here, it has no light hitting it, right? So are you ever going to have a shadow cast on that? No. Okay. So that's what's happening with that. Okay. This here is, excuse me, this problem here. But you have to do it twice. You have to do it once for this triangle, like that, and then do it again for that triangle there. But it's the same problem. It's the same problem. Okay? So, again, here's what we do. For this guy right here, just like we did before, for this guy here, what we did is we went straight across until we hit this line here, right? Do we have this line here on this problem? No, we don't. Let me ask you a question. From this point here, this line right here, where does it go to? Left vanishing point. So if I have this triangle, the top of the point of the triangle went to where? Goes to left vanishing point. Here's the top of that triangle, isn't it? So where do I go to?
Left.
Left vanishing point. So again, it's the same exact problem. It's the same exact problem. And then we did what? Straight across and found the direction and then take the angle of light. Same thing. So right here, where the front top point of that triangle is, straight across here, that gives me a point right there on the roof. And so I go that from right there back to there. That is that's the direction now that this line is going to be casting shadow up that surface. And then to find out where it actually hits for this point, I take the angle of the light on down, right there. So right there would be the corresponding point to that right there. And since, same thing here, AB, I don't have a B prime right here. A, B, do I have a B prime? I do not. So where do I go from A prime? Back up to there. Don't go up to here, it goes up to there, okay? So that will go right there, and this one is right here. See that? So there's the shadow for that portion. But what you need to do is you need to check for this guy right here and see if it creates a deeper shadow. And so the way we do that is, see this triangle right here? I create the same triangle right in the middle there. Well, drop that straight down vertically, right? And then take that back up to that point there. I now have that triangle. And I do the same thing like I did before. Right here, back to the vanishing point. That gives me a line across right there. Take this line over to here, all the way till it meets, right there. Take the direction from the bottom right there, Lines everywhere. Yeah, there are. Okay. So there's that going up the roof there, and I take the angle of the light down this way. And so the corresponding point is right there. So for this triangle right here, its shadow, if it was just roof surface, would be right there. But we have all of this going on, right? So does this ever cast a shadow, really? No, it doesn't. Now, if this was taller, if this was way up here and then this went like that, then of course, you know, we'd do that and it would cast a shadow, right? And what would happen is this one would overtake that one probably, or you'd have part of this one and then the rest of this. Like this one here, you have some of this shadow and then you have the shadow here. You might have the same thing going on there, but you don't know until you do both of those triangles. And because I did the second one and it hits in there, I know that does not create a shadow. I'm not going to have any shadow based on that. So this right here is going to be in shade.
Did you know that 63% of homes contain allergens from cockroaches? And that mice
Well, that's sick.
as
Cockroaches.
60% of homes. It's true. Common
Anybody ever deal with cockroaches?
major offenders on the list of
My wife used to teach across the street there at Heaton, and one night she had to make copies and stuff, so I went with her. And the copy machine was over next to the cafeteria. So the light is actually, you open the door, the light's not stupid design, not right by the door, it's actually around the thing. So we opened the door and just cockroaches are scattered. And she's like, "Oh," I was like, okay, I'll go turn the light on. So I'm walking and crunch, 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 right? Hit the light switch and they just all scattered. It was just amazing, just so many of them, right? So they got in there and fumigated that. Anyway, side story. So that's in shadow, just like that, or shade, I'm sorry. And then this is in shadow, okay? So this is kind of a, you know, is it a flat surface? Is it, I don't know. So if you want to, you can do the lines like that and maybe do them down like this. So you can get your triangle like this, go right here and just do some real close. Some real close lines like that or something, you know what I'm talking about? And then top of this here, kind of do the same thing here. Actually, just so for this guy here, so this is in, again, it's in shadow, so those lines there are going to be real close together all the way down, right? And the same thing for the verticals, those are real close as well. And so this is in bless you, and so forth all the way down. Got it? Okay, so put those in shade and shadow and properly. You're going to color the rest of this so it's one solid thing there, same thing, it's solid there. And don't forget that, that's in shade, so don't forget that one as well, and all of the rest of that. Okay, so that's this guy. So this really is just a combination of everything you've done on the smaller ones. Okay, so don't freak out. Don't freak out. Okay, don't freak out on me. Okay. Lay the flimsy down, tape it, and then put yours on top. And then take those vanishing points, find those vanishing points, and that'll work out fine. Okay? Any questions on this? Due Monday.